also going with two. Can you guess who they are?
No.
Caitlin and Kelsey. I love those girls
I
there.
knew that.
You could have. I feel like you could have guessed that.
I knew that, but I knew that.
I feel like you could have.
I don't know why.
Watch that moment carefully. Caitlin and Kelsey. Not even a hesitation. And honestly, that answer tells us everything about how the Indiana Fever transformed from a lottery team into championship contenders. But here's what makes this fascinating. 2 years ago, Aliyah Boston was a completely different player running a completely different system. So what actually changed? Because the answer isn't what most people think.
Oh, I was just thinking.
Okay, you're right. You're right.
The ironic thing is that she would probably say her favorite teammate from college was a player she played with in the W in Bree Hall.
But
you're a big girl now.
Caitlin, yeah, I am. I'm grown. I'm grown up. Caitlin and Kelsey, those are my girls. Like, I love those two so freaking much, and I love playing with them. It's crazy. So those are my two.
There it is. The acknowledgement everyone keeps pretending not to notice. Aliyah Boston didn't just adjust when Caitlin Clark arrived. She reinvented her entire game. And this wasn't some tiny tweak. This was a full transformation. From a bruising, back to the basket center to a modern, face-up big who can switch onto guards and dominate in pick-and-roll action. Let's break down what actually changed. In her rookie year, with Erica Wheeler running point, the Fever offense was built around slow, methodical high-low sets. Boston averaged 14.5 points almost entirely off post-ups within 4 feet of the rim. She played physically, patiently, and effectively in a system that ranked 11th in pace. Then Caitlin Clark went number 1 in April, and everything flipped overnight.
It was Aliyah who adapted, absolutely. And I mean this when I say it, it's like, I don't know how confident I would be in Caitlin Clark's ability to adapt to a slow down, back to the basket system being ran through post players. I don't actually know if Caitlin could adapt to it. And like, look, I'm honest when it comes to Caitlin Clark's game. Like, I think I said AJ and Fee were 1A, 1B, and someone literally came into my comments and goes, they're the best power forward. Caitlin Clark's by far the best player in the WNBA. And I'm like, I get it, she was injured last year, but like, Fee shot 50, 40, 90.
Additional back to the basket center, running high, low actions with Cardoso, grinding through slow half-court possessions. Christy Sides would probably still be the head coach. And the Fever? They'd be staring at another year without a playoff run. But Indiana got Caitlin Clark, and that changed everything. It forced a choice. Would Clark adjust to Boston's old-school style, or would Boston evolve to fit Clark's modern, high-paced system? The answer revealed itself instantly. Boston slimmed down. She added speed. She developed a real pick-and-pop threat. Her perimeter defense improved so much she could switch on to guards. Her mid-range mechanics tightened until she became reliable from 15 feet. This wasn't a small adjustment. This was a total reinvention in a single offseason.
Blow-down system. I think Caitlin, the system, is going to win multiple titles. And Aliyah Boston has completely adapted her game. And I tweeted out and I was like, something stupid. Like, not even something stupid. I tweeted out, people aren't talking enough about how Aliyah Boston's changed everything about her game. Since Caitlin Clark has come into the league. I was like, he's gone from a bruiser back to the basket center to a elite face-up player. She's gotten faster. She's gotten quicker laterally. She can guard guards in the perimeter. She's gotten better in the pick and roll, better in pick and...
And this is where Boston's adaptation becomes even more impressive. She didn't just change her offensive role. She reinvented her entire defensive identity. Her conditioning improved. Her lateral quickness jumped a level. And her decision-making speed had to match the pace Caitlin Clark brought to Indiana. By the end of the 2024 season, the Fever were suddenly a top 4 team in pace. Boston was averaging 3.2 assists per game out of pick-and-roll actions, most of them with Clark. Her shooting percentage from 10 to 16 feet skyrocketed from 38% as a rookie to 51%. She was switching onto guards and actually holding her own. That's not gradual growth. That's a player looking at the roster, seeing what the team needed, and saying, fine, I'll become that.
Never played a playoff game. But if we're being completely real here, it's 2 different types of players. People are taking that as a shot at Aliyah Boston. It's like, no, Aliyah has literally 180'd her game. And that's so impressive. It is so impressive. People like the big three. That's our trio. I really believe they love you too, Aliyah Boston, if not more. What about Bree Turner? Where does she rate keep or trade? Honestly, picking a team Aliyah would help get into championships. With Bree Turner, it just depends on what price. Like Bree Turner, if she comes on a minimum, I'll take her on a minimum. Like absolutely, the 10 to 12 players don't play that much, and she's one of those stays. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Like when she's playing well, she'll be in the rotation. When she's not, she'll be out of it, and she might get herself back into it. But like, it's very clear. It's very clear that big three.
Now we need to talk about what this means for the future of the league, because the dynamic between Boston and Clark exposes something most people overlook about WNBA team building. The best duos aren't always built from the two most talented players. They're built when one star is willing to completely reinvent themselves to elevate another. Look at Indiana's new core: Clark, Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell. That trio works because Boston made the sacrifice. She was the former #1 pick, the Rookie of the Year, the franchise centerpiece, and she's the one who changed everything about her game. Mitchell didn't have to change much. She's always been an off-ball scorer. Clark didn't have to change at all. She's basically running the same Iowa-style offense, just with pros around her. But Boston became a new player. And the result is obvious. The Fever went from unwatchable to must-see TV, from missing the playoffs to becoming legitimate contenders. Boston's willingness to adapt is the reason that transformation happened.
Level players. Maybe not under 100. Let's just say maybe like 150K. Mid-level players. They're walking in to 500K if the season goes ahead. Even in the CBN's current state, they're walking into 500K. That is 3 years or 4 years pretty much worth of their salary. They will not, there's no bigger picture and greater good women's sports. If you were going to get a 6x increase, a 4x increase in your salary from just a W, and you know what that means? You can negotiate for a higher price overseas. Or you can just sit out the season. You don't have to play. It means you can get ready for the W season. It's one of those things where players actually want there to be a season. And if the WNBPA it's just, I think the problem is with the WNBA is the WNBA realizes it's just empty threats now. They realistically know the WNBA, they've given the WNBA players way more than they initially wanted to. And it's just baseless threats now. There might be like...
But now we have to address the elephant in the room, the CBA negotiations. Because while we're talking about chemistry and player development, there's a far bigger conversation happening behind closed doors, one that could decide whether any of this even matters next season. The current CBA is about to expire, and the Players Association is openly floating the idea of sitting out the season if their demands aren't met. They want 30% of gross revenue. The league is offering something closer to 15 to 20% of net revenue. Those are two completely different worlds, and the gap between them is massive. Here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. The players cannot afford to strike, and the owners know it. Let's talk financial reality. Even with the new CBA offer on the table, mid-tier players are looking at salaries around $300,000 a year, 3 to 4 times more than they made last season. These are players who were making $75,000 in the WNBA and maybe another $50,000 overseas. This is life-changing money. The entire league shifts if the players actually walk away.
Different if the league becomes brings in significant more revenue via the TV deal. So we can get a higher percentage then. Like that's what I'd be pushing if I was a CBA. Because at the end of the day, the owners, you don't become billionaires like these owners did by being dumb. They're smart. They know these players can't afford to not have a season. And by that, I mean, there are literally players in the tens. There are multiple players that if a WNBA season doesn't go ahead, will have to work office jobs. And I'm not lying when I say that. There are multiple players that were in rotations in the WNBA last year